On your way into the Edith Mortensen Center, make sure to ask your prospective student if they are interested in seeing the theater. Even if a student isn't necessarily thinking about participating in theater, they might enjoy seeing the space anyway, so it's a good idea to always make sure and grab the theater keys from Melissa, just in case it's locked. An interesting aspect of the Edith Mortensen building that you might want to share with tours is that years ago it used to be the old gymnasium. Sometimes you're on a tour with an alumni and they might get a kick out of that, or they might have a fun memory from when it used to be the gym. The lobby of the theater is the place where audience members wait for shows to begin or have post-performance receptions. Any Augustana student can go to a performance for free with their college IDs. Make sure to highlight the great participation rate and support of our student body, whether it be a theater performance or a basketball game. Our students love to support each other. Point out the theater offices, costume closet, and tell them about the dressing rooms, makeup room, and prop closets that are located downstairs. Make sure to mention that the students are involved in constructing their own sets, making their own costumes and props for productions, and running all the technical aspects of a performance. Some ambassadors like to show students the theater through the stage entrance. This gives the student the view of our theater from right on stage. Make sure to peek in and see if a rehearsal or a different events are going on before you continue into the theater. Once on stage, you can talk a little bit more about theater opportunities at Augustana. Make sure to mention that the theater department is also its own theater company, which means that the students all work together to construct a show and that the Sioux Falls community can also participate in theater at Augustana. Often there are sets being built during the time of your tour, so make sure you know what shows are going on in the theater and market those a little bit. The company puts on 4 main stage productions a year, one of which is always a musical, and throughout the year there are smaller productions, festivals, and operas happening as well. Be sure to point out the uniqueness of our theater. It's not your traditional stage, but one that juts out and allows audience members to view a performance in a unique and more intimate way. There's really not a bad seat in the house. Students certainly do not have to be theater majors to be involved. We have students from almost every area of study participating in performing arts on campus, and students have the freedom to choose how involved they want to be. Also make sure to point out the Mary Harem Hart Studio, named for the Augie graduate and famous host of Entertainment Tonight. There are multiple productions and classes that take place in the Mary Harem Hart Studio. If your student has additional questions, often there is someone in the theater that you can reach out to and have them answer a few more questions. If a student isn't thinking about participating in performing arts but still would like to see the theater, you can take your prospective student upstairs to view the theater from above, from an audience standpoint. This is another great opportunity to talk about all of the great participation and support of our student body and the fact that they can go to almost every performance free with their student IDs. A sign with directions to turn on the lights if the lights happen to be off is conveniently located near the entrance. Taking students this way through the theater shows off the uniqueness of the stage as you talk about all the opportunities they would have to support the arts on campus.
Okay, well, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Robert Fitzsimmons and chair of the Department of Theater.
Okay, great. And for our student ambassador's sake, for those that maybe aren't as familiar with what goes on here, are there things that you think make Augustana's theater program unique or different, especially from those in the area or region?
Sure. Compared to the immediate area of schools, Augie Theater is different because of the degree program we offer. We are a private school offering a BA in theater. Some of our schools in the areas around us are BSs in communications, BFAs in theater. So we are unique in that we are the only BA private school offering a degree in theater. The other things that make us unique, we are a smaller program, which gives our students a lot of contact time with their faculty, and also a lot of opportunities for performance and experience on stage. It's smaller in that we have, I should say, less majors. I don't know if that's a...
Yeah.
It's smaller in that we have less majors, so but not as far as the number of productions we do.
Okay.
We're unique in that we do 9 to 10 productions a year.
Yep.
Even some of our bigger schools in the area are only doing 4 or 5.
Yep.
And so there's lots of opportunities for student work. We're unique in that we're an all undergraduate program. And so all of our student opportunities are for the undergrads, which means that as a freshman walking in the door, you have the opportunity to perform on stage or be involved in production. And that's different at the other schools.
Yep.
So those are some of the unique things about our program.
Okay. How many students are involved in our theater program on a given year, average?
Sure. Currently, we're hovering right around that 24, 25 major number.
Okay.
On about a dozen minors.
Yep.
But then we have what we call the company, and we call ourselves the Augustana College Theater Company. And that is about 75 this year.
Okay.
And those are every student who's involved in production, who's involved in a show. And that group of people meet on a weekly basis and work on the shows and act in the shows. And we call it a company atmosphere because it takes all of those people to produce the plays that we do.
Okay. So on any given show, I mean, is it that number?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, between the students making the costumes and building the sets and hanging the lights and the cast and the run crew, especially on our biggest productions like South Pacific and some of our larger shows like the Bacchae last year, there were 50 to 60 to 70 people working on that show when you counted everybody in.
Yep.
And part of that is those Wednesday nights when we get together for rehearsal and production.
Yep. So Wednesday nights, what's the time frame?
From 7 to 9:30.
Okay.
We call it rehearsal and production,
Okay.
or company call. We meet from 7 to 7:30 as a company, and we do announcements and talk about what's coming up this week, and that's when we announce like auditions and opportunities to do different acting things,
Yep.
stuff like that. And then from 7:30 to 9:30, we divide into groups and we work on different aspects of production.
Okay.
Sets, costumes, lights, props. We might do a project like we did this past week where we cleaned one of our storage spaces.
Yep.
So.
Okay. So talk a little bit about, I mean, people are maybe more familiar with the larger productions that go on, but you mentioned sometimes up to 8 and 9. What are some of in a typical year, what are some of the other things that go on?
Typically what we try to do every year is on our main stage we try to do 4 shows. And we try to give a wide breadth of experience in those 4 shows. Different genres, different everything from the classics to musicals and new work. And then in our acting studio we have a student production group called ACTS, which is the Augustana College Theatrical Society. And they do 3 or 4 shows a year in the acting studio. Those are student organized, student produced, student directed, student funded through ASA productions. And all of the aspects of that show are done by students, student designs. And then we are also working on productions like Viking Varieties, collaboration with the other departments on campus and the music department. Productions like Provoking the Gospel with Richard Swanson. We did Book of Mark
I think yeah.
last year, and Book of Job is this year.
Okay.
And that one's going to be in the chapel. So there's opportunity for liturgical drama. So there's lots of different opportunities.
Yeah.
And then opera,
Yeah.
again with the music department. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's scholarship opportunities.
Yes.
And that comes up on tour a lot. Talk a little bit about those opportunities. Are they all through kind of the annual process for freshmen in
Sure.
February or March? Are there other opportunities?
Yeah. So primarily for freshmen or new students, the main opportunity for scholarship is the Pro Dramatis, which is through the what is it,
The PDA,
Art
yeah,
Scholarship.
yep.
And that is in February and March, and all of that information is on the website. And then for current students or returning students, the department has several scholarships that are merit-based scholarships that we give out at the end of every year. The PVA scholarship for theater is a $1,000 annual scholarship. The other scholarships that we give for returning students are anywhere from $300 to $2,000 scholarships.
Okay.
So once you're here, there are more opportunities to earn scholarship.
Okay.
And then there's always work study, and we have several work study positions in our department. And it's not really scholarship, but it's how a lot of students fund or partially fund college.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have several paid work positions in our shops.
Oh, okay.
So.
With the scholarships that happen in February and March specifically, students on tour may be asked, so how do I go about getting one of those? And
Sure.
And they'll direct them to the website. Can you give maybe just a real quick response in terms of like theater scholarships, what the expectations are,
Okay.
what they do?
Basically, when a student comes in for a theater scholarship, it really depends on what their area of interest is. Most of our students coming in for those performing arts scholarships are actors, and so they will do an audition piece, a monologue or a song, usually 30 seconds. Our audition slots are only 15 minutes long, and we like to sit down and have a conversation with them while they're in there. So they bring some example of their work in, and for some of them it's a piece that they've done from oral interp in the past. Some of them it's a monologue or a song they've done from the most recent show. For other students that have a production interest, they'll bring in pictures of sets they've worked on or lights they've hung and or design they've done. I also love to see artwork from students. So if they've done a drawing class or something like that, if they're interested specifically in design and production, that's great to see artwork.
Yep.
So there's an example of the work they've done, but there's also the conversation about what they want out of their college theater experience. That's equally important to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So students that have never been involved in theater through high school, maybe you've kind of had an interest, but just it hasn't worked in their schedule, or maybe it's a new interest that there's something new they want to try in college.
Yep.
How do you recommend that they begin?
Well, most of our students that have never done it before in their life show up because their roommate or a friend is involved in the company in some way, and they come to that Wednesday night meeting and they start working in one of the shops, and once they're here they find out they have a place here and a niche here, and they like it. Our company is open to anyone. There's no audition process. There's no you're part of it because you showed up. And so if you have that interest or want to be part of theater, even if you develop it as a senior in college, you're always welcome to walk in the door. Our auditions are open to all students and all community members, and we post those auditions all over campus.
Okay.
And so if they've never done theater before in their life and they think they want to try it, they're welcome to try it. They're also welcome to take any of the classes we teach. A lot of our classes count for gen eds, fulfill other requirements, and so we have a lot of students take classes for a gen ed requirement, and they find out, oh, this is fun, and they come back and they do it time and time again.
Okay. So, something new this year. Going to try and go on the road.
Yeah.
Well, you are going to go on the road.
I hope it's more than try. I hope we're successful.
No, yeah, we hope you are too, and know you will be. Talk a little bit about the plans for that.
Sure.
Where you're going to go, and what that will involve.
What we're going to do is we are producing the show A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, and that will fill our second show slot in November, which is a typical slot for us. We do that right before Thanksgiving. And so that show is then going to come back in January, and we're going to tour it regionally during the month of January as a J-term course. So the students that are cast in that show and auditions for that show are like this weekend. So they will be rehearsing it through the fall and performing it at the end of the fall, and then taking it out on tour in January. We'll go to primarily area high schools, Rapid City, Pierre, Laverne, Minnesota. So regionally, we're going to hit 5 states in the month of January. In addition to taking it to those high schools, the show is entered in the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, which is in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's a week-long festival in January, so we will be going to that festival, and the hope is that the show is picked up and taken to the festival.
Okay.
So we have the opportunity to hopefully perform it there as part of the festival, as part of the competition.
Yeah.
And then we put it away for a little while, and in March we take it down to the pavilion and put it on stage with the South Dakota Symphony.
Cool.
And so it'll have 3 different lives
Yeah.
over the course of its
Yep.
performance.
Okay.
So, and it's really a unique opportunity, something that we've been wanting to do, and
Yeah.
the music department tours and gets out into the community, and we felt like we had grown to the size that we were ready to tackle that kind of a production.
So how many students do you expect will be involved, especially when you go on the
We
road?
will have 14 students involved in the production. There will be 10 actors and 4 production staff, and then 2 of us on the faculty
Okay.
will be going with them.
Okay.
So,
All right. All right. Well, are there other key facts, things that you would like to highlight that you wish, all students would hear about the theater?
Sure. Theater at Augie is really unique. One thing that makes our department unique is our space itself. Most colleges around here and the high schools the students are coming from have a very traditional proscenium theater, and we have a very non-traditional theater. It's more of a thrust space with an open an open catwalk system, which makes doing shows a different experience. Our audience is much closer to the actors on stage, so it's a much more intimate, which we find wonderful. The faculty here are absolutely exceptional and have wonderful professional ties that we involve the students in. And I think it's a selling feature for Augie, that they come and they experience theater and they experience the classes here, and those same people that they are in class with for their faculty are also hiring people to go and do summer stock theater. So they have that ability to continue their education professionally during the summers through internships and professional work. And so that's a unique experience. And additionally, our faculty have very diverse interests in what they do in theater. So you have, for example, with Jaina, somebody who has a very strong knowledge of Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, that Shakespearean period. And Dan, who has been an artistic director at a summer stock for 15 years now, and has that aspect of running a professional theater in his daily life, in addition to running a children's theater with his wife every day. So there's a lot of unique experience that our faculty bring to the students.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks for your time.
You're quite welcome, sir.